Hello, class. Today we are going to finish out our operations and simplifying rational expressions by doing addition and subtraction. Now, I do want to note addition and subtraction is completely different from the multiplying, dividing, and simplifying on the account of all of those lessons built quickly on each other. Adding and subtraction do not, because with the nature of fractions of adding and subtracting themselves, we must have a common denominator. If you recall back from fourth grade. So once you have the common denominator, then you're adding and subtracting with the same denominator. And we're going to call the common denominator that for now, but we're going to see a different name pop up in our solving section. So what I want you to do is, now that you remember the whole common denominator thing from the fourth grade, recall how to just add and subtract these fractions as a warm-up. So you're going to try that now. All right, now that you're back, hopefully this is what you said. You said, okay, first of all these are addition and subtraction. I need common denominators. I'm not just going across the top and across the bottom. So here I have a 3 and a 4. My common denominator is 12. So I want to say, all right, how does 3 become 12? Oh, I multiply it by 4. What you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. And how does 4 become 12? I have to multiply by 3. And what you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. And vice versa. So now I have 8 over 12 plus 3 over 12. When I add fractions together, I now keep the 12 on the bottom. I don't do 12 plus 12 is 24. And then I add the numerator. So 8 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I see if I can simplify from there, but I can't, so I'm done. So it's really nice here just to list that common denominator here. So as we get difficult, we can see what the common denominator is more and more. And then note how I said at this point, we are going to then just simplify from there, which hopefully you recognize, oh, I'm going to follow simplifying from our previous lessons. So we're going to go over this also. We have a 5 and a 6. So 5 and a 6, our common denominator, well, 5, 10, 6 doesn't go into that. 15, 6 doesn't go in that. So you end up doing 5 times 6, which is 30. And that's your common denominator, which means you multiply this by a 6 and this by a 6. You multiply this by a 5 and this by a 5. So our bottom is 30, but 24 on top, minus, bottom is 30, but 25 on top. And what I do is I distribute this negative over here, so then it's really 24 minus 25 is negative 1 over 30. Remember, we're keeping the same common denominator. We don't do 30 minus 30 is 0. The other two, hopefully you followed the same suit, but I don't want to be redundant. I want to get into my actual lesson. So for algebra problems, what we just did here, I summarized in steps because we're going to do the same thing for algebra problems. Note that this has 8 steps. The past ones we've been doing kind of do 3 with that kind of keep, change, flip as a 4th one for division. And before, we were factoring, and then we were restricting, and then we were eliminating. And it was really easy because with multiplication and division, the tops just combine and the bottoms just combine. But here it's obvious that doesn't happen with addition and subtraction, and you need to know that that doesn't happen for addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction follows a different set of steps. So here's our steps. We're going to factor everything, so that doesn't change. Any factors not listed in both denominators must be multiplied into the numerator and denominator of the fraction that doesn't have that factor. Just reading it out loud, it makes no sense. But if you are actually looking at a problem, you literally just do exactly what this said. Then we're going to FOIL and distribute in numerators. We're going to add and subtract the fractions. We're going to distribute that fraction sign, kind of like we did here. And we're going to combine like terms in the numerator. Remember, denominators aren't changing this whole time. We're going to refactor the numerator if we can. We're going to then list restrictions and then cancel. So let's see this in action. The only way we can really understand these steps is if we do a couple different problems together. So what we see here is very little numbers. So remember, we're not going to always have to do all these steps depending on simplicity. So factor everything. This is a 3, a 1, an x, and a 2. So we don't really have to factor everything because it's already that way. All right, so now any factors not listed in both denominators must be multiplied in numerator and denominator. So what I'm going to do on the side is I'm going to write common denominator, and I'm going to write what that is. So in this case, this one has an x and this one has a 2. So that means I need both of them to be 2x in the end. So for number 2, it says any factors not listed in both denominators must be multiplied in the numerator and the denominator of that fraction that doesn't have the factor. So in this case, this is an x. So what does the x need? The lighting's getting really messed up. Hold on. Hopefully that fixes things. I don't know what the issue is right now. Okay, so this is an x. It needs a 2. So that means I need to multiply this by a 2, and I need to multiply this by a 2. This one needs an x, so I need to multiply this by an x and this by an x. That's what step 2 is saying. Now I'm going to FOIL or distribute both numerators. So in this case, it's just saying multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. So I have a 6 over 2x, and 1 times x is x, so I have an x over 2x. Add or subtract the fractions. So now I have a fraction and a fraction. So it says distribute the subtraction signs. All that's saying is on the top, I'm doing 6 minus x. And remember, I'm just working in the numerators because the bottom is 2x. Combine like terms in the numerator, step 5. Well, 6 and x can't be combined because it's a 6 and it's an x. Refactor the numerator if possible. I cannot factor 6 minus x. List restrictions from the denominator. So if I look at the denominator, my restrictions would be x can't equal 0, and cancel any common terms. Well, remember, this is attached by subtraction, so I can't cross out this x and this x. And I can't do anything with the 6 and the 2 because this is a pair, and I can only cross it off if it also says 6 minus x. So we are done here. We restricted here. You have to follow the steps. Number 2, same thing. The first thing is we're going to factor everything. So 5 can't be factored. I could take this 2 out and I have an x minus 3 plus an x and an x minus 3. So my common denominator that I want has to have an x minus 3 and a 2. So that's where step 2 comes in. Any factor not listed in both denominators must be multiplied into the numerator and denominator of that fraction that doesn't have that factor. So this one, does it have both factors I need? 2 and x minus 3. 2 and x minus 3. It does. So I don't have to do any of the multiplying here. This one has a x minus 3 and an x. So what it's saying is it missing a 2 or an x minus 3 on the denominator? It is. It's missing the 2. So I have to multiply the bottom by 2, and I have to multiply the top by 2. So now I'm FOILing distributing in the numerator. Remember, nothing happened here, but this is literally 2 times x, so that's 2x. And here I'm got my common denominator. I'm now going to add or subtract the fractions. So when I add and subtract fractions, I keep the common denominator. And then I do 5 plus 2x. Combine like terms in the numerator. 5 and 2x are not like terms. Refactor the numerator. I cannot factor this any further. List restrictions. Well, so a restriction here is x can't equal 3 from this part. No restriction off of the 2. And then it says cancel any terms. Well, x minus 3 isn't in the top, but it is in the bottom. So that can't cancel anywhere. These guys are attached, so I don't see a 5 plus 2x on the bottom to cross out. So everything is already done. Just keep following the steps. Even as things look messier and messier, we're going to follow the steps. So the first one for number 3 is factor everything. Can't factor 1, can't factor x plus 4. Can't factor 8, can factor x squared minus 16. That's an x plus 4, x minus 4. It's a difference of perfect squares. So what is my common denominator here? My common denominator is x plus 4, x minus 4. I'm going to grab a different color so you see this better. That means for number 2, any factors not listed in both denominators. Does this one have both x plus 4 and x minus 4? No, it only has x plus 4, so it needs an x minus 4. So I need x minus 4 both top and bottom. This one has both of the common denominators, so we're good. So we're on step 3 to FOIL or distribute in both numerators. That just means to do x minus 4 times 1. Well, x minus 4 times 1 is x minus 4. We could take away the parentheses at this point. I want to note that nowhere in the steps does it say refoil the denominator or touch the denominator. No, it doesn't say it, so don't do it. In fact, the next step says add or subtract the fractions. So we're keeping the denominator as the common denominator. And we're doing x minus 4 plus 8. Combine like terms in the numerator. I can do minus 4 plus 8, which is x plus 4. Don't touch the denominator, just keep rewriting it. Then it says factor the numerator if possible. I can't. List restrictions. X can't equal negative 4 and positive 4. Then it says cancel common terms. I have an x plus 4 on top and I have an x plus 4 on bottom, so I'm left with an x minus 4 on bottom. Follow the steps. Don't add your own steps. Don't make this look like addition or multiplication and division because it's addition and subtraction. Don't touch the denominator once you make the common denominator. There's a reason for steps. Do not stray from them. We're going to do 4 now. Are you kidding me? Hold on one second.